Have you ever wanted to play D&D in a wizard school campaign setting?
You know, Ted, I could see how that might appeal to people, but why do you ask?
Well, we're one step closer with Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos, the new D&D book put out by Wizards of the Coast. I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Dave. Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds.
Now let's take these backgrounds to school in this video.
Alright, so we're diving into Strixhaven. Ted's got the book there. I'll bring up the digital version over on D&D Beyond. And, we're going to be talking about backgrounds today. We get, 5 new backgrounds in, Strixhaven, and they're a bit different than the ones that we've encountered in the past.
All right, so the 5 new backgrounds are Lorehold student, Prismari student, the Quandrix student, the Silverquill student, and the Witherbloom student.
All right, so there's some really cool things about these new backgrounds. There's also things that I kind of find problematic that I don't actually like about these backgrounds.
Yeah, I figured you were going there.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. One, it's kind of cool. You got these different colleges, and if, you could probably even tailor these and change these to, fit your campaign world if you wanted to add these backgrounds. That's all well and good. That's fine. My issue with these backgrounds is they have mechanical benefits, right? One of them is kind of a shared benefit. Another, that they all kind of get access to this particular feat, which we'll go into later. In addition to that, they all get spells added to their spell list. It's not a huge deal, but it's still mechanically better than anything you would get from any other background. And I feel like they could have just made colleges a separate thing that you got to pick, right? Oh, you're playing Strixhaven? Here's the 5 colleges. Which one do you belong to? Here's the things you get for belonging to that.
So it would be, in addition to the background, you would also choose your college and you would get something additional. I definitely like that approach. Having given this a read through is a scenario of, I honestly feel if you're playing Strixhaven, it's all encapsulated. So while, yes, you're going to choose your class and your race from other places, I feel like if you're doing this, you're probably picking one of these 5 backgrounds as your background of choice because it's all encapsulated within the adventure.
But I guess the problem is, one, this is not listed as an adventure book. It's a source book.
Sure.
Which I was kind of surprised with, but, it's got the new things, the school. But, also the other thing is, like, what if you're not playing Strixhaven, but you just want to add new content to your game?
Right.
Well, clearly this background is way better than any of the other backgrounds you can pick. You get a feat, right?
Yeah, true.
Which is, it's not a weak feat either. It's kind of decent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I guess that's my only issue is, like, I don't see why they did that. Because they did guilds in Ravnica, which would be the same thing as colleges in Strixhaven. Right. And I think it would have been a much more elegant solution than, like, let's just break our own rules when it comes to making backgrounds and do something completely and utterly different than what we've been doing. But that aside, so there's some common traits that we're going to go over that they all kind of share, in addition to them giving you a particular feat as well.
Absolutely.
So as you can see, Ted has one of the books in front of him, and usually that means something here on the channel if you're familiar with it. Wizards of the Coast was nice enough to send us a handful of books, so we are going to be giving away most of them. So they're in our giveaway pile. I think we have one of the special covers, 2 of the regular covers. If you happen to be a patron, join our newsletter or go over to the website where we have a section about contests and giveaways. There are different ways for you to enter and win one of our monthly giveaways. Not sure which month the Strixhavens will go in, but we're always giving away stuff over there, so you can take a look at that. But, you can't wait till then. No worries. You can also get down to the description and find a link to Amazon. It's an affiliate link. We earn a small commission when you use our link to purchase products over there. Now, if you don't have a local flags that you would rather support, then you can help us and help out the channel.
And if you're looking for another way to help out the channel, as Dave mentioned, going over to Patreon, that's a way to support us to keep making videos like this, as well as all of the great content over on nerdarchy.com.
Yeah, and as a special thank you, you'll receive 5 rewards for both players and DMs alike. We make magic items, sometimes we turn them into print and play cards, drop-in encounters, races, subclasses, feats, spells, a bunch of stuff I'm not even thinking about. We do this giveaway thing we mentioned earlier, as well as there's even a chance to game with us. We do a monthly random fan game. You can find a link in the description, a card up here. There's a sampler that you can go download for free and kind of check out and see what the rewards look like.
All right, so let's dive into the actual backgrounds. As we kind of mentioned, there is a bit of commonality between them. Do you want to get into that first?
Sure. So, like, as we already mentioned, there's a feat that you just automatically get. They all have spells that you can add to your spell list, which we'll go over those in more depth. They all offer up traits, right? Personality traits. But it's weird because they don't do anything with bonds or flaws. It was just completely left out, and I couldn't find where it was mentioned. Maybe it's mentioned someplace else in the book. I was surprised. And then they also have a short trinket table as well. So all of those are kind of the same. And also they each have a section of, like, who would belong to this college, right? Which is kind of cool and interesting, as well as, like, how to reflavor your spells if you belong to this college. So all of those things are really cool.
Yeah, I love when they have that kind of stuff to offer up how to flavor your spells and who belongs to this particular college. Those kind of guidelines, they really help flesh out a character for somebody who is unfamiliar with that kind of process, who is used to, oh, this is a spell that does this, so this is exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, so we start off a Lorehold student. You have spent your youth preparing to be a student of Lorehold College, reading every book on the college's recommended reading list for prospective students. Your academic passions are in the broad field of history. You might dream of using magic to contact great historical figures, or your own ancestors, or of recreating the mighty magic of a distant age.
So you get two skill proficiencies, history and religion. You get 2 languages of choice. You get a variety of equipment, a bottle of ink, a pen, a hammer, a hooded lantern, a tinderbox, a tome of history, a school uniform, and a pouch containing 15 gold. That's pretty high for backgrounds as well.
It is the highest, but again, going to school ain't cheap, so.
And then you gain the Lorehold feature initiate. You gain the Strixhaven Initiate feat presented later in this chapter. You must choose Lorehold within it. In addition, you have the spellcasting or pact magic feature. The spells in the Lorehold spell table are added to your list, which are first level comprehend languages and identify.
Second level, you get borrowed knowledge. It's from this book, locate object.
Third level, you get speak with dead and spirit guardians.
Fourth level, arcane eye, stone shape. Love that arcane eye.
Indeed. And fifth level, you get flame strike and legend lore.
So you get to add all of those to your spell list to choose from. You don't automatically know them or get them, but it expands your options if you didn't have those on your list before. And if you're any kind of spellcaster, it's super useful. I think it's like super useful too, especially if you're like a cleric, maybe. No, it looks like they're mixed. Like, it looks like no matter where your casting comes from, you're probably going to pick up things you didn't have access to.
Yeah, it's definitely a good mix that's there. I haven't gotten all the way to borrowed knowledge yet. That seems pretty interesting. But I'm definitely seeing some wizard and cleric, mixed in with what's here.
So also, it's kind of like not really a side note, but along with those spells you get, consider customizing how your spells look when you cast them. Your Lorehold spells might create displays of golden light. You might use a tome or a scroll as a spellcasting focus, and your spell effects might affect the appearance of the reference books you study. Now, I don't think you can actually use a spell book as a focus unless you have a magic one, or you're a Order of the Scribe.
Right. So the specific mention there, and I've never seen a scroll as a spellcasting focus either.
No.
So
somebody's talking out their butt.
Or it could be like, here is a way for you to, offer up something new, and perhaps this is, it's not written somewhere, but perhaps this is a thing. There's a section for, building a Lorehold characters. Any class or subclass that deals with the knowledge of the past can be a good fit in Lorehold. Bards thrive in Lorehold. Wizards, particularly those in the School of Divination, and numerous among the students. Clerics, often with a knowledge or light domains, are often quite common. For a more unusual take on the Lorehold student, you consider playing a barbarian with a primal connection to the past, perhaps adopting the path of ancestral guardians from Xanathars, or paladins whose Oath of Ancients gives concrete link to history.
So from there we go to those common shared traits we mentioned, which are trinkets and personality traits. We won't go over all of those. but know that they offer up some. So basically, your Lorehold background makes you a history buff.
Yeah, and you know my cleric character that I played in Dave's first campaign would have been a perfect choice there. He was a knowledge domain cleric, so ideally that would fit there. And describing things of book and book related. I mean, his spiritual weapon was literally a giant tome that would just kind of fall on enemies. So definitely saw the fitting there. So next up is the Prismari.
Stop! We have our second Kickstarter ready to go. Check the link in the description.
Add 250 magic item tarot card to your gaming resources right now.
Mageforge are magic items from our very own games and minds ready to use in your game.
So check it out, back it, follow it, whatever it is that you need to do.
And get on that list. Stay nerdy.
You're an artist. You have been preparing to hone your craft according to the traditions of Prismari College. Whatever your medium, sculpture, dance, paint, music, drama, architecture, or any other field, you have grand visions of bringing your art to life in the fusion of magic and creativity.
Your skill proficiencies are acrobatics and performance. Tool proficiencies are one type of musical instrument or artisan tools. You can choose one language. Equipment is a bottle of ink, an ink pen as well, a set of artisan tools or a musical instrument, one of your choice, school uniform, and a pouch containing 10 gold pieces. So you get a little bit less, but you also get those tools or instrument, which I think they tend to cost a little bit more.
They usually do. So your feature here is you gain the Strixhaven Initiate feat, just as like the other ones do, and it's still linked the same way. You have to choose the Prismari, and then you get access to the Prismari spells. First level is Chromatic Orb and Thunder Wave.
Second level is Flaming Sphere and Kinetic Jaunt.
Third level is Haste and Water Walk.
Fourth level, Freedom of Movement, Wall of Fire.
Fifth level, Cone of Cold and Conjure Elemental. So this is another great selection. Chromatic Orb and Thunder Wave, really great. Kinetic Jaunt, is going to be a fun one. Haste is definitely phenomenal. Freedom of Movement, very useful. Cone of Cold and Conjure Elemental are also both fabulous spells. So great selection all in all.
Yeah, also I feel like if you're playing a cleric, you're going to get a lot of spells you don't normally get access to.
Indeed. I mean, depending upon where you go, this is definitely some great things, especially if you go away from wizard. These are spells that aren't typically accessed by everybody.
So we've got the section beneath of it where it talks about consider customizing how your spells look. When you cast them, you might wield your Prismari spells with dynamic gestural movements, as much dance as somatic component. Even a blast of fire in your hands is sculpted work of art. Elemental forces make grand designs. As you hurl spells, these forces might linger on your body or in your clothes as a decorative element after your spells are dissipated, as sparks dance in your hair and your touch leaves tracings of frost on whatever you touch.
So, looking at this, I absolutely see elements of the Last Airbender, or even the one power from Wheel of Time, in effect here, where things are a lot more grander in your gestures and your movement to do your spells. If you're looking for inspiration as to how you move, I would definitely check out any of that kind of stuff for inspiration.
Well, even Doc Strange, right? And the other mystics.
Yeah,
used a lot of very martial looking movements.
Yeah, I don't think they were quite as grand, but yeah, I would agree.
The definitely complex hand gestures were a huge part of it.
Mm-hmm.
We have building your Prismari character. Any class or subclass that wields elemental forces of cold, fire, lightning, and wind can be a good fit in Prismari. Druids and sorcerers are common in Prismari, and wizards who study the schools of evocation or transmutation are also well represented. Clerics aren't very common in this school, but some with the Tempest domain end up here. Beyond the ranks of traditional spellcaster, Prismari students also include monks who follow the way of the four elements. Some acrobatic rogues and fighters, Eldritch Knights, also delight in the athleticism of Prismari performances.
So next up, we have Quandrix student. In preparation to become a student of Quandrix College, you have spent years working through the college's math problems for prospective students. Your interests concentrate on the mathematical principles and patterns found in the natural world. You might lean more towards mathematics or physics, or delve into more abstract studies of metaphysics, arcana, or logic.
Skill proficiencies: Arcana, Nature. Tool proficiency: 1 type of artisan tools, 1 language. Equipment: bottle of black ink again, an ink pen, an abacus, a book of arcane theory, a school uniform, and a pouch containing 15 gold.
So again, we're going to get into that section where you get that feat and you have to choose Quandrix within it. And if you're a spellcaster, you're going to get the following spells: first level Entangle and Guiding Bolt.
Second level, Enlarge, Reduce, Vortex Warp.
Third level Aura of Vitality and Haste.
Fourth level, Control Water, Freedom of Movement.
And fifth level Circle of Power and Pass Wall.
So again, like, all the lists are really good. You get a bunch of different stuff. Again, we have the customizing section. Consider customizing how your spells look. When you cast them, your Quandrix spells might manifest amid a kaleidoscopic swirl of fractal patterns, amplifying the tiniest movements of your somatic components. When your magic creates or alters creatures, it might briefly surround the targets with shimmering fractal designs or tessellated patterns.
So I think this might fall more into the realm of, you know, the Doc Strange kind of thing where you can see all of that. But there's definitely a number of, you know, TV shows or movies where you see that kind of imagery that you can use as reference points.
And it's thus far we have a history buff, the art kids, and math nerds.
Math nerds. I love how the math nerds are the ones that lean towards druid. I find that kind of amusing. But building a Quandrix character, any spellcasting class or subclass can work well for a Quandrix character. Both the scholarly focus of wizards, especially those who study schools of abjuration, illusion, or transmutation, and the meta-magic manipulations of sorcerers are welcome in Quandrix. Many druids explore patterns of nature in Quandrix as well. A few clerics, particularly those with the knowledge or nature domain, study in Quandrix as well. Aside from traditional spellcasters, a few characters of other classes finds home in Quandrix. Some fighters, monks, rangers, and rogues study here using Quandrix principles to train their minds.
So what they're saying is anybody can be a math nerd.
Anybody can be a math nerd. I think,
except for barbarians, definitely not barbarians.
I think if you're leaning towards Scion, I think they're trying to say that, like, that could fit well there because you're training your minds. So like the psionic fighter and the psionic rogue, I think would be pretty cool there.
I feel like if you're playing up the barbarian angle with that one, you're just angry all the time because you have to do math. So we have a Silverquill student. You have spent years practicing your writing and oration in the hope of becoming a student of Silverquill College. Your studies focus on language, literature, and the power of words, both magical and otherwise. The metaphorical power of words to illuminate or conceal is joined within the literal ability of magic to do the same in your academic pursuits.
So you're going to get intimidation and persuasion, 2 languages of choice, a bottle of ink, a pen, a book of poetry, a school uniform, and 15 gold. And then you're going to get the Silverquill Initiate, which is, you know, pretty much the same thing. You get the feat. You have to choose Silverquill, and you're going to get access to the spellcasting, which first level you're going to get Dissonant Whispers and Silvery Barbs.
Second level, Calm Emotions, Darkness.
Beacon of Hope and Daylight at third.
Fourth is Compulsion and Confusion.
And fifth level, Dominate Person and Rary's Telepathic Bond.
And let's see how they flavor their spells. Consider customizing your spells. Look when you cast them. Your Silverquill spells might be accompanied by visual effects resembling splotches of ink or radiating ripples of golden light. Any auditory effects of your spells often sound like amplified echoes of your own voice, speaking the spell's verbal components, even amid the crash of lightning or a fiery eruption. Does lightning actually crash, though?
I mean...
Crackle, sizzle, maybe?
Yeah.
But crash? I think you're thinking of thunder, my friends.
There's a song, though, called Lightning Crashes, so I don't know.
It must be good to go then. There's a song.
So if you're building a Silverquill character, many bards, as you would expect, find home in Silverquill, putting the power of their voices to use with Silverquill magic. Wizards, especially those who study the schools of illusion and enchantment, are common in Silverquill, as are warlocks. Clerics with the divine domains of light and trickery also fit well amongst the mages of Silverquill. A number of both paladins and rogues attend Silverquill College as well, highlighting the diversity of the student body.
This is where all the pretty kids go.
Well, I mean, the people who are gonna talk and
Yeah.
be that voice, fit well. So rogues and paladins fit because rogues kind of fit everywhere with their expertise, depending upon how you want to push it.
So finally, we have Witherbloom student. You filled your childhood with rudimentary alchemical experiments, all in the hope of becoming a student of Witherbloom College. The life sciences are the focus of your reading, which include biology and necromancy. Strange combination. Brewing strange concoctions with medicinal properties, exploring the anatomies of monsters, and cataloging swamp flora as the kinds of studies you might pursue in Witherbloom College.
So as you would expect, you're going to get nature, survival, herbalism kit, a language of your choice. Real shock, a bottle of blank ink and an ink pen, a book about plant identification, an iron pot, an herbalism kit, a school uniform, and a pouch containing 15 gold.
Things don't change here. We still are going to get that feat, and you're going to have to choose Witherbloom. And for our spells, we start off at first level, Cure Wounds, Inflict Wounds.
You're going to get Lesser Restoration and Wither and Bloom.
Third level, Vivify and Vampiric Touch.
Blight and Death Ward at fourth.
Fifth level, Anti-Life Shell, Greater Restoration. I mean, this is an amazing list for a non-cleric caster or druid caster because you're going to get access to a lot of stuff that you normally don't have on your list. If you're playing a sorcerer or a wizard, you're going to be able to really steal the role of the cleric.
Yeah, absolutely. Any caster that's going to be able to, that doesn't normally get Cure Wounds, the restoration spells, Revivify. I mean, this is absolutely a fantastic list for any non-cleric. Even a druid being able to get access to Revivify and Inflict Wounds, like that's pretty awesome.
Also, I mean, if you're a wizard, you're going to be able to have a familiar much easier, and then you can send your familiar off to do your healing spells or your inflicting spells.
That would be fabulous.
It's good all the way around.
All right, so as always, you're going to be able to figure out how you customize it. Your Witherbloom spells might rely on material components or a spellcasting focus drawn from the swamp environment of Witherbloom, and your spells might take on the appearance of suggesting those natural elements. Spectral shapes of swarm animals or plants might form amid your spell's effects.
Then, of course, we have building a Witherbloom character. Druids and warlocks make up most of Witherbloom's student body. A few wizards, mostly those who study the school of necromancy, and clerics, including those with the divine domains of life or nature, also find home in Witherbloom. Number of rangers and barbarians study at Witherbloom as well, and some rogues learn how to create and use poisons during their studies with the college.
So, all in all, there's a lot that's there. Being able to grab those spells, greatly allow you to transform and totally change the type of character that you're playing. When you, as you mentioned with Witherbloom, being able to take a wizard and fulfill everything off of a cleric role, depending, you can essentially be multi-classed without actually having to multi-class. So, like, that is absolutely crazy, and you don't necessarily have to stick to the themes. Well, what draws your evocation wizard to Witherbloom? Well, you like to blow stuff up, but maybe you like to figure out how they get put back together as well. Like, you can really play with the flavors if you're going to use these things as is and not modify and tweak.
I also feel like your half casters and your third casters especially really benefit from these backgrounds because you're getting access to spells you normally don't get. More so with your third casters because usually you only have a couple schools you can choose from, and there's very few options to deviate from that. Now, I mean, I don't know that particularly that any one of these spell lists are optimal for them, and also you're a third caster, so to get the higher level spells, it takes a really long time anyway, but it does offer more options that usually aren't available to those types.
Yeah, and as a remember, they are put on your list, so it's not automatically added to your book or to your class. You can choose it when you get access to a spell. So everything short of like cleric or druid, where you can kind of choose day by day, you still have to select them. I think those divine casters who can kind of play with that list get more benefit from it, but those are the ones that normally have access to the stuff that's great on the list when you're not playing those classes.
Yeah, so like paladins like that too, but again, like, how are you gonna smite if you're casting all these spells?
Well, there is always that angle to play with as well. But totally, if you're gonna play with these as is, just be careful if you're mixing them with the others. But if you're okay with these tweaks and definitely a higher level of what you're getting out of a background, go for it.
I think a fix would be like possibly if you offer up everyone a feat at first level that didn't take this background.
Right.
Like, you don't want to give it to the ones that took this background. You'll just be doubling up. Because the feat that they get is pretty good. And we're going to talk about that in another video, along with the other feats and some things that are going on there. But let us know, what do you think? You like these backgrounds? You like this direction? Maybe you just want to see all the backgrounds get powered up? And also, like, we didn't even talk about the fact that, like, this kind of assumes feats aren't optional in your game, right? If the backgrounds are giving them to you. Just let us know what you think down in the comments below. Share your thoughts and ideas about these backgrounds or anything else from Strixhaven in the comments below with the Nerdarchy community.
While you're down there, don't forget to do all those fun things that make Nerdarchy and YouTube happy. Like, share, subscribe, even go ahead and attune to that notification bell so you don't miss a single video.
Quick reminder, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we drop new videos here on the channel, so come on back. But hey, you can't wait till then? No worries, we've got you covered. You can check the card up here and you will find our last Strixhaven video. We talk about the Allen D&D race.
So until next time, stay nerdy.